G'day, sports fans. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Sports by Fry podcast. A late Wednesday evening hump day edition of the Sportsby pod coming at ya, featuring the great man, J-Lo. He and I sat down once again on a Wednesday to talk plenty of things sports. A lot of footy stuff going on at the moment. We're gearing up for finals. The AFL fantasy finals have started. So J-Lo and I talked a little bit about our trade ideas and some players who I think we could target. His team's soaring at the moment compared to mine. So maybe you just want to listen to his advice and ignore what comes out of my mouth. But we then dissected a little bit of stuff to do with the trending topics around the AFL, talked about some draws, talked about Kane Lambert retiring, talked about Collingwood's premiership legitimacy. And then the basketball world isn't full of headlines, but a big one was dropped this week regarding Kevin Durant being pursued by the Boston Celtics. And it got me thinking about a couple of other hypothetical trades that I would like to see. A lot of smaller fish involved in these deals, but tried to workshop a couple of win-win deals for both sides. So J-Lo and I talked through some of them. Then he talked about which ones work, which ones don't, which ones we want to see come to fruition. And then ended the podcast with another big bumper Mount Rushmore. This one might be the coolest topic that we've drafted. So strap yourselves in, enjoy that, enjoy the podcast. Thanks once again for listening. It's every Sports by Fry fan's favourite time of the week. It's hump day, it's Wednesday, it's time to sit down with J-Lo. How you doing as we near the end of July? Jacob?
Mate, I'm good. I'm just excited to be on the podcast. It's the highlight of my week. Highlight of my week, to be honest. This is the first human contact I've had all week.
You've been isolating or something?
No. It's just a joke, just a light joke to start off our Wednesday night. Didn't hit, but we'll see if they keep rolling for the rest of the podcast.
Hey, as Michael Jordan said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I thought you might have been sitting inside all weekend, just consistently refreshing the AFL fantasy app and just looking at your point total from round 19. Shout out to the AFL fantasy fans, because I saw a lot of them over the weekend through the course of our activities. But yeah, I don't really want to talk too much about my score and my team. So why don't you tell me about something good that happened?
Tim Kelly got a 12 for me.
Fucking Tim Kelly. That was ridiculous.
Gone. I know. I wasn't watching the game at all, but I was like, I don't. Did you see any of the game or anything?
He was just being clamped by Marcus Windhager and put the hardest tag known to man on him. And TK was all right, just seemed not disinterested. That's not the right word, but I guess this is my day. To be fair, there was probably one or two handballs I thought he was robbed of. So he should have pushed up towards a 20-point total, but yeah, no, he got shut down.
Yeah, so other than that, though, obviously I had the C on Steely. I went with my gut, brought Steely in.
Smart.
It went really well. And yeah, I think, I don't know, did everyone not have a really good fantasy scoring week?
Oh,
obviously you didn't.
Yeah, most people. I mean, I got, 2260 something. So, okay. If I had that in round 5, it would have been oh, fuck yeah, here we go. But, getting to the pointy end of the season, you were 2,400 plus, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Takes the head-to-head ledger for the season to 13-6, but I think I was up 10-1 at one point in the year. So you're storming home to end the season. All right, so
Billy Slater.
TK sucked. Was there anyone else who was a dud?
No, I think everyone else is pretty good, actually. Let me just have a squeeze.
You'd expect if they go 2,400.
I think Cogs and maybe Dacos were the lowest next two in the 80s. So, pretty happy. Lots of big 100s. Brought in Tim Durant for 123. Roe Marshall was good, nearly 110. Both rucks. Gorney, 130. It's just a bit of that. 3 120s. Took Miller, Merritt, Paddy Cripps. Yeah.
The week prior, going Das Cameron to Maxi Gorn, you weren't chuffed with, but gained you about 100 points this weekend. And I think going into the podcast, Das Cameron is probably the most traded out player. I mean, had a 30, didn't get a lot of centre bounces. He shut the bed. Luckily for me, I've got Sean Darcy in one of my other ruck spots. So I've got to try and decide between the two who to get rid of. But there's talk that Brodie Grundy's going to be playing in the VFL and Mason Cox might not get up. If you were a Cameron owner, easier to say obviously now in hindsight, but do you reckon with that news filtering through, you give him another chance? He's going up against Port, who don't exactly have a recognised ruckman playing. So he's got to break even in the 130s.
Gorney had a fucking 70 against Port, though. So,
True.
Man, look, if you've got nothing else to do, get rid of him. And because you could probably still get to Gorney for not much or someone around the mark for not much. But if you've got other things to do, maybe I would give him one more week. I mean, that would be roughly how I'd play it. Luckily, I don't have to anymore.
Yeah, you're out of that boat.
Good luck. Good luck to you. You still have him?
I do, yeah. So just having a look, if you go up to Roe Marshall, cost you about 20K. Gorney, about 40. Tim English is still a little bit dearer, so you need to have about 80K to pull that move off. But Cameron's been scoring pretty well prior to that. Like he's gone 107, 87, 83, 111 off his buy. So, and then obviously the 34 on the weekend. So if there's no ruckman with him, I don't hate the idea of holding on to him, but personally, I think, like I said, break even at 136. He's up to 730 odd K. So he's going to start losing a lot of value if he's not given the axe now, which I think is what I will do as well. But I'm going to, at this stage, my early trade plans are to axe him out, get rid of him. And he's currently sitting in my forward line as well. So I can just push through another week of Sean Darcy and turn Cameron into Jai Cully, who I think is going to play pretty heavy midfield minutes to close the year. Looked pretty good as well in that game, obviously, Tim was being clamped. And that gives me enough cash to turn my other pesky rookie and Jacob Ware all the way up to Timothy Stewart, who is primed for a big end to the fantasy season. Where do you rank Stewart as a potential trade target this week?
Yeah, you've been on him all week. He didn't play on the weekend, did he?
This is his first game back after that suspension for giving good old Dion Prestia the.
Right. Well, I don't hate it. I'd be more inclined to bring in an Aaron Hall.
Yeah, save yourself about 100 grand plus.
Yeah, there's just a few options. Like if you don't have, you've got Sicily. So I mean, like I got Himmelberg back there, still cheaper. But look, Tommy Stewart is great. I think he will be one of the top scorers in the back line from here on out. His break even is 120 something.
Yeah, that's another factor. 127 off the dome.
So he's a sort of bloke who might get it, but I'd be more inclined to bring in a mid or a forward if you got the option. But that's just me. And I'm often wrong in the fantasy world.
Yeah, well, the last 6 weeks, I should be taking your advice. You've been right.
Just stop listening to you.
Yeah, well, there you go. Shout out. If you found out the key, Sports by Fry fans, is just listen to me, take it all in, and then do something completely different. Couple of other, because Tommy Stewart I would classify him as a unique trade target or a left of field one. There's a couple of coaches who've brought him in, but there's a couple of other names at the start of the week that I ran through as well. One of them is Sam Berry, mid forward. He's laid 31 tackles in the last 2 weeks. So you're like, well, surely he's not going to keep that up. But he's playing a lot of midfield minutes. It doesn't look like he's going to lose his spot to Matty Crouch. So he's found a home in that engine room for Adelaide, 717 grand. So you actually turn Das Cameron to him, you make yourself some money. What do you reckon of the Bearmeister?
He's pretty expensive now.
It's a bit of a risky one considering.
Yeah, I mean, let's look who else is around his mark. Yeah, well, if you're really struggling, I guess you could. I don't know. I'd probably be looking for more safe options. What the
Doesn't
hell's
feel
going on
right.
with Jared Lyons? What's his deal?
Yeah, that's a good question. He's just. Well, I think
Anyway,
he's been Hugh McCluggaged. Hugh McCluggage has just taken
yeah.
his his marks and his kicks and his stats, really.
Look, I guess there's no one around that that price range. I'd be, if you're sort of around the mid sevens, I reckon I'd be looking at Warner. If you want a unique, and you're looking around that mid seven mark, Big Chadlet Warner, I reckon, might be the go, personally. And I actually did think about him long and hard for Tim Kelly's swap.
Ooh, he's in 4% of teams, the Warner, so not many.
I think that's gone up in the last week too, by the way.
It would have, I reckon. Luke Davies-Uniacke is another one who I pointed out as a unique.
Oh, yep.
He's a little bit more expensive, though. And, yeah, it just does not feel right. You don't really bring too many roos into your team, especially the ones not named Aaron Hall. Last one. What do you reckon of Braden?
When you could go to McRae for LDU's price.
Is he in the same price bracket?
LDU's worth more. You go Baz Smith, Noz Anderson, Brad Crouch, Sam Walsh, Keezy, Duncan. You know, it doesn't feel right for LDU. I like the unique, but it doesn't feel right. Sorry, move on. My bad.
No, I was going to go through one more in the ruck department. It's Braden Pruce. He's priced at $650.
Do it.
You take out the 14-point game that he had. The bloke has gone at an average of 99, which would probably be second behind Tim, I reckon. Maybe Max as well. But, you know, still offers shitloads of value after that injury-affected game. But interesting, he has never played 5 games consecutive in his entire career. So I think he's got 26, 28 games under his belt. He's never played 5 in a row. So that's kind of, if you bring him in this week, that's what you're backing him in to do, because obviously played last week. Okay. You'd hope he's not going to miss any time in the next month. So there's plenty of risk with that one as well. But fuck, the value is pretty tempting.
I don't mind it, especially if you are looking to offload Das Cameron or something. Save that moolah. He's going to get, I feel pretty confident that Precy's getting you to 90 every week at least.
I agree.
So
is he scoring you 2 or 3 or 4 90s? That's the question.
Yeah, well, that is the question. But he probably isn't. He's a bridge. He's a bridge to Gorn or English at this point, I feel like. You're still aiming to get those 2 in your ruck spots by the end of the year. But if you're struggling to get there and you need to offload someone, maybe. I don't mind it. Or, you know what? He could just see out the year.
He could.
Why not?
If he plays, of faith.
If he gets 5 games, why not? Save your money and go elsewhere. You know? Bring in LDU.
Difference between going, let's think about it. Das Cameron up to Gorn or Das Cameron down to Prusy, like pretty close to 200K. And if you go an English route, it's probably like 250 plus. So it's almost another massive upgrade around the ground if you go that way. So yeah. Interesting. All right. So TK's gone for you. Who's in the foreign line? Who you're bringing in?
I think, should he be named and should his hammy be fined, it's Aaron Hall.
Yeah. Okay.
Without a doubt. And that would be it. I just swung Dacos down, or really any of those blokes back there down to the midfield. And then honestly, it probably is the final rookie off the field next week. Probably.
Yeah, the time's coming, right?
Well, he's probably going to have
watch him go 120 next week. Yeah.
And then maybe it's Tommy Mitchell or something. Like I'm full. I'm done. I'm finished. Dacos is the last one standing. Should Hawley, last. Harry Himmelberg's been great. Honestly, like the way he's been going, Crispy maybe is in line to get knocked out. Like, I don't know. He's been terrible in the last few weeks, but I'm feeling good. I feel pretty good. So Dacos next week, Hawley in.
That makes sense. There's a few blokes who I'm like, look, I kind of want to get rid of you, but I've just got bigger fish to fry. Like, I'm not going to get rid of someone like Brayshaw or McRae or even Sam Walsh unless he's injured. But I'm like, fuck, boys, I need you to get your like 110s plus, especially now at the pointy end of the season. Crispy falls into that boat as well, but he's probably pretty popular. He'll be in most coaches' teams, but Sicily, another one maybe. Depending on what your ruck situation's looking like, you can probably afford to like chop out Das Cameron and go straight up to a big dog this week. Last fantasy question. If you didn't have Tim English or Max Gawn, which one do you reckon?
Probably Gawny, right?
Yeah, I think so too, but I don't know why. Gut says Gawn, but my heart says just back in Tim. He's back. He like had a really good game on the weekend. He's not going to drop a 70 from here on out, but he probably will. He did it not
he's
that
got
long
an
ago
okay run, I guess. Timmy English. And what did he do? Did he play Geelong? Oh, he only had a 95 against Geelong last time. Who he's got next?
Yeah.
Whereas Gawny's probably got the better ruck run as well. Okay.
I feel like Gawny's just dropped a lot more 70-point games, which gives me a little bit of pause. But, if you're picking one of the dudes, it's probably Gawn after his like fantasy pedigree and what he's done in the last like 3 or 4 years, right?
I would think so. I would feel a lot better about Gawny. Who else has he got? Yeah, I don't know. Especially after what he just did to Tim English.
Yep.
So,
fair call. Can't disagree.
Save
all right.
Money.
Hopefully, I can get back to the winning ways next week. It'd be nice if my actual footy team could get back to winning ways next week as well. Big Friday night showdown for the Dockers against the D's, coming off the first draw of the AFL season. You usually get one a year.
That feels like years ago.
It
feels like it was months ago. Oh my God. I can't believe that was Friday night.
It wasn't even a week ago, mate. It was like 5 nights ago.
Oh God. Okay.
So obviously, like I said, first draw of the season, there always seems to be one that bobs up every year. Some years you get a couple, and I don't know why, but it always feels like they're late. Like the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season, it always feels like that's when you get your one draw. How do you sit with draws in the AFL? Because obviously they abolished it in finals and added extra time, and the whole premise of coming back to play next week in a grand final, I'm glad that we got to see that happen in our lifetime. Because when you think about it, like that is just fucking ludicrous. But
good for money though. Would have made the AFL
for money.
Tons of money.
Yeah. But in the actual like regular season or home and away season, as it's traditionally called, where do you stand? Should the AFL have draws in footy?
I'm okay with it. I've got to admit, I'm okay with it. Adds to the drama. It's such a small. It rarely ever happens. It's so rare. So it's like seeing a blue moon. I don't know if that's a thing you can actually see, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
It's like seeing a blue moon, and I think there's something special about it. So I'm all for the draw, especially because it's going to add a whole lot of intrigue to your boys' top 4 chances and the Tigers' top 8 chances. Coming down the line, and you can always point back and be like, that fucking draw, man. If he hadn't played on, the Tigers might have made it, or, so I'm cool with the draw. But I think as long as it's not in the granny or finals anymore, that's my thoughts on it.
I like the extra time premise that they've got in finals because, you can't replay a final or have a draw, especially like not a grandy. It would just throw the whole fixtures out of whack, obviously. But yeah, I've gone through the whole emotional roller coaster regarding draws. I thought right at the end of the night on Friday, I was like, nah, shit. Even though Fremantle weren't looking like the better team, we should have played 5 more minutes and decided a winner. Then I kind of went to I'm glad we got the 2 points. But then I was like, you look at the ladder ramifications, etc. I think you're right. It does just add a little bit of extra drama, and it is pretty rare. Blue moons might be rare, might be as rare as a Nat Fyfe straight set shot on goal. I reckon that's about as rare as a blue moon.
Oh, those are fighting words, man.
Yeah. I'm nervous about the Dockers going into this Friday night clash against the D's. So obviously they only got to the 2 points. Who are you backing? Do you reckon that Freo can get the job done on their home deck, or Melbourne
I was going to say
gear up?
Home deck, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at Optus.
Ooh, that is tough. I reckon you boys might get them. I think you boys coming off that was a tough game against Richmond.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I actually don't think you boys could have asked for a better game. And you're lucky to come away with 2 points, minus that first quarter. You played really well. But, yeah, I think that's going to prime you up. Melbourne are not hot right now.
They're a bit all over
the
the
doggies
place.
sort of just cut them to pieces. I watched Matty Lloyd do a really nice breakdown on their sort of woes earlier in the week. And they're just not willing to do the hard things right now. So you boys coming off a super tough match, going up against a team who really is just not doing the right things across the ground at the moment. I would be tipping you boys if I was a tipping man. That's what I'd tell you, even without Fifey.
I'm glad. Yep, I think that's what I needed to hear to reinforce what I was thinking. But you know me, Dockers fans are always glass half empty pessimists. So I think I'm just hoping. Actually, no, I'd be lying if I said I'm just hoping it's a good game. It should be a good game, and it's shaping up to be one. But I think the home factor is big, and especially I don't know if I saw the same Lordo thing, but I saw a similar vibe thing where they were talking about Melbourne's struggles at the moment and what they were doing in the first 10 rounds compared to now with regards to defense and giving up these stats to certain opponents, etc. So there are some, not alarm bells ringing for the Ds, but I reckon over the next month or so, we'll know whether they're going to be genuine contenders or like where they fall in the ranks. You know what I mean?
I also just don't think the Ds were as good as everyone thought they were. I think that got overstated.
Yeah, possibly.
To be honest, they had that phenomenal run into the grand final and didn't lose, a final or whatever. And
they missed the finals the year before as well, right?
Yeah, and not that Anyway, let's not go too deep into it. But I don't know if they missed it the year before or it was the year before. But
I'll go.
I just don't think they're quite as good as everyone thinks. They played really well as a unit for 15 to 20 weeks in over 2 AFL seasons. But I think it got a bit overstated. And now we're sort of seeing probably a truer representation of who Melbourne really are, to be honest. And also, I think the comp is flatter than it has ever been as well, except for West Coast and North Melbourne.
As in, it's like there's not much variance between the best team and the worst team, you mean? Yeah. Yep. We've been saying along those lines that it's been, the gap's been closing probably since the start of the Richmond dynasty. They've managed to squeeze in a couple of flags, but since then, you think about how many different teams have played in the grand final and how many other teams have finished in the top 4. You've had your mainstays and a couple of characters who've been around the mark, but yeah, I think you're right. I think that the talent level's pretty high and up there, but there's also, any given Sunday, there's a team that could knock off another one, with the exception maybe of the Roos.
Yeah, nah, that's never happening. Or West Coast, not too far behind, mate. In front, I should say.
So. Speaking of draws, I've got the 2020 ladder up. Melbourne did miss the finals by 2 points because Collingwood drew with the team and gave them 2 points, and they overtook them on the ladder.
There you go. Melbourne might have 2 flags.
Who'd have thunk it? Speaking of the Pies, 9 wins on the trot now for Collingwood. Pretty elite. Their record in games decided by a single kick is 5-0. They pushed their way into the top 4 after their Jamie Elliott heroics that were displayed at the G on Sunday. They're sitting nestled in the top 4, tied with Melbourne and Brisbane on points. But I don't know if I fully believe in Collingwood. You look at some of the teams they've beat and how many close games they've played in. I can respect and appreciate the fact that they got over the hump in a lot of those close games, but a goal or a point here or there might have seen them lose a couple of extra games, and I think put them in the ladder spot that they probably deserve to be in, like that 6-ish mark. But credit to them for what they've done so far. Do you reckon that the Pies are a genuine flag chance?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I think so, because they are just getting it done. I think what Craig McRae's done is phenomenal.
Unreal, hey, first year coach.
Oh, bloody oath, mate. Unreal. Do we do coach of the year in the AFL?
Pretty sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's getting it. I think they are. I think they've got problems. Their ruck division's solid. I like what Dust Cameron has been doing. If Grundy comes back, that he's a dangerous forward, Dust Cameron. I think that's the one area that they probably lack a little bit of bite. Is their key forwards, as much as Brody Myercheck's a solid player, who does all the little things right. But I like what Dacos has brought to their backline / midfield. I think Jack Crisp going in full time's really helped him out. Having a healthy Taylor Adams. I don't think they're as bad as everyone thought they were last year. I don't think they're as... I tend to agree. Maybe they're not quite... I don't think they're quite as good as Brisbane, Melbourne, you boys. Who else is up there?
Geelong.
Definitely not Geelong. But I think, like we said, any given Sunday, anyone can win at this in the way the top eight's looking. And we just saw that with the Doggies in Melbourne. We'll probably see that we saw that with Melbourne and the Pies not that long ago.
True.
They got up over Melbourne. So, yep, I think they are a flag chance. Probably it comes down to makeup of the top eight and also the ordering. Like if there's a few teams, if they get lucky and get, I don't know, like they might be able to pounce on you boys and then, beat the D's again and get into a granny, and then anything can happen. I wouldn't tip them, but I think they're looking all right.
Yeah, if they finish, top 4, or let's say they finish, I don't know, second and they get to host the D's or Lions at the G and win a game, like, you're only then one game away from a grand final. So they've got Port Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney and Carlton to end the year. So, they haven't lost in bloody 2 months of footy, but I wouldn't be shocked if they dropped 1 or 2 of those games. Like I said, I still think that they are like a tier 2 contender, if that makes sense, behind your Geelong, probably Melbourne as well. Brizzy and Freo have their moments, the same with Sydney and some of those other cats. But yeah, can't knock them for what they've done so far. The next month or so will be very interesting to watch. All right.
Yes.
One more little footy tidbit, I reckon, and then we might talk a little bit of basketball. We saw Kane Lambert retire earlier in the week. Fabled Richmond, what would you call him? Utility? I was going to say forward, but he's not really a forward. Bit of jack of all trades. Good old Kano.
Just a C-grade midfielder, just the other midfielder.
There's so many dudes around the club that have just been giving him like an outpouring for how like selfless he was and such a legit teammate, and like played a pretty big role in their 3 flags. I think I saw a stat. It was something like the only players to kick multiple goals in all 3 grand final wins is like him and Jack Riewoldt for the Tigers. And Dusty. Sorry, I think Dusty was the other one. But let's play a little Richmond retiree game, because I had a little bit of a look at their list. There's a couple of old characters floating around. There's a bit of Deadwood, as we're aware. But I'm intrigued to see who's going to pull the pin next. Matty Parker said that he's going back to WA. He's effectively retired as well. Josh Caddy, he retired earlier in the season. So there's a couple of these Tigers who are, not the core of their premiership team, but the bits and pieces are falling by the wayside. Basher Hooley bowed out last year. We're getting towards the end of their, I think, premiership window. Probably are at the end of their premiership window, but there's a couple of characters I'm going to run through. You just need a yes or no answer as to if you reckon this will be their last year of footy.
Okay.
Shane Edwards, about to play game 300. You reckon?
Yes.
33 years old.
Just yes or no, you asked me. No, I think he'll go. He's washed. But they're not all washed.
Yeah, okay. I reckon yes. Marlon Pickett, 30 years old. Played 50 games in his career. No. Contract runs out at the end of the season.
No, he's playing great footy.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but he might be one that scored. Go on.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that I've seen a few people saying like he's going to finish in their top 5 B and F, mate.
Yeah, I reckon he'll get another run at it. I'm just looking at the perspective of if, for whatever reason, he doesn't get offered a new deal, he's probably not bouncing to another club. So to restart his career at 30, he could, but I think he'll stay.
He only just started his bloody career, mate.
Touche. Yeah. I don't think he goes, though. Dylan Grimes, current co-captain, 31.
Probably not.
Nah. 206 games. His deal, I'm pretty sure he's got an extra year on his deal to 2023, but I can't see him bowing out. Now we're starting to get to some of the interesting ones. Jack Riewoldt, 16 years in the AFL, 321 career games.
No.
I agree. He's playing pretty good. I reckon he's got another year, maybe 2 in him. See how you go.
One more year.
Trent Cotchin, 282 career games. He's 32. His body's been banged up over the last 3 years.
He's more of a yes than Riewoldt. He's a maybe. Probably depends on his fitness over the next 4 or 5 weeks plus finals.
Good point. Yep.
And see how finals go. I don't think Richmond are as done as everyone thinks they are, but maybe Koch is. There's a lot of moving parts for Cochin, I would say.
They have to take care of Brisbane this week in Melbourne, for what it's worth, if they want to stand any chance to stay in the mix. Because you'd think Geelong take care of the Dogs, St Kilda. We kind of did that ladder predictor and realised that, it's going to come down to percentage potentially. So I don't have faith in the Saints getting the job done. But last one is Robbie Tarrant, who has another year on his deal, but he's 33, 189 games under his belt.
Is this his first year there, Tarrant?
I want to say second. No, it might be his first year there.
Well, if it's his first year, I think he'd go on. But he would, I would probably say he probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But maybe he'll kick on.
I reckon he pulls the pin at the end of next year when his deal ends, and they probably take a step backwards next year. Maybe not miss finals. They might still stay in the mix, but I don't think with a lot of those dudes we mentioned, and some does hinge on what happens with Dusty, but
and Baker, I don't reckon they're not as done as people were making them out to be. But I can see why people are thinking the dynasty's the dynasty's done, but I don't think that their window's closed. I don't know.
All you need to do is do a Geelong or Sydney and just kind of retool on the fly, and you can be right back in the mix. So send it up.
All you need to do is watch Shea Bolton play footy.
Yeah,
and you think, hang on a minute, we've got a chance. So anyway.
You think AFL teams with Shea Bolton have a chance of winning a flag? NBA teams with Kevin Durant in their roster probably have a pretty good chance of winning for a chip. He's only got 2 wins, technically, in the game's biggest stage, but transitioning to basketball, there's a lot of murmurings around his potential move to Boston. Now, I think the whole Kevin Durant trade saga kind of comes down to what you want to give up, right? Because Boston have built this pretty tight-knit core centered around Tatum and Brown and Marcus Smart as well. But if you're going to sacrifice probably too much of that to land Kevin Durant, who's probably top 5 offensive player in the history of the game, you want to have that dude on your roster, but how much do you want to give up, I reckon, is the real question. So just initial thoughts. What do you reckon, KD to Boston? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you reckon it's a good fit? Should the Celtics seriously pursue it or just ignore it?
I am just so exhausted about this, him and Kyrie. And is there anyone else on the market? I don't care. I'm just tired. I'm tired of these old boys just floating around thinking the NBA is theirs. It shits me. It really shits me. It doesn't matter. I don't think wherever KD goes, it's not going to matter. I don't think he's winning another chip. He is he used to be one of my favorite players when he was at OKC. Remember that first big contract he signed? He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not chasing rings. I'm not doing what LeBron. He was the anti-LeBron. He's become a bigger LeBron than LeBron. And I just am so tired of him. So if I was Brad Stevens, I would be going, absolutely not. Stay. We just made an NBA finals.
Yeah.
With two young stars. We got the next Kobe and we got, I don't know, the next whatever Jaylen Brown is. Lamar Odom or something. I don't know. Stay away. Go away.
You got Batman
I'm not
and
interested.
Robin.
Yeah, plus a really good supporting cast. Like you would have to give up what? Jaylen Brown and
well, apparently the rumored deal that they first threw at him was Jaylen Brown, Derek White. There might have been another salary filler and a couple of picks. And then instantly Brooklyn clapped back with the same plus Marcus Smart plus more picks.
Oh.
And Boston were like, yeah, no, we're good.
No. Yeah, no way. No, just piss off. Piss off, KD. We're all sick of you. That's what I tell. That's what I'm at with it. I'm just so sick of him.
I reckon, honestly, he probably won't get traded. I reckon he and Kyrie will end up back in Brooklyn. And I don't know, like, what's he going to do? He's 34, going in like year 16 or 17. Like, sitting out might be a great thing for his body. But is he really going to like sit out a year of his like late prime, arguably like one of the last years of his prime, to like stick it to Brooklyn? Probably not. Are they going to trade him for anything less than the mother load? Probably not. Is someone going to come and give it to him? Doesn't seem like it. So there are talks with New Orleans as well, apparently, that there's some murmurings going on there that they're trying to find the right package of deal and see if KD legitimately wants to live in NOLA. But yeah, I'm a little bit in the same boat with this whole saga. But like I said, he is a top 5 like offensive talent. So if you're in the window of being able to get this dude, I think it's like public knowledge that all of the 29 other teams have at least called and checked in, which is what you do, right? When a dude like this, of his magnitude, requests a trade. But he didn't like light it up against Boston in the playoffs. Granted, there was a lot of other shit going on in the background and the whole Ben Simmons saga. I completely forgot the other day that Ben Simmons was on the Nets. I was just opened up the trade machine to have a look at what a deal would work like. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that motherfucker. He's just sitting in Brooklyn, like, hopefully working on his jump shot. But
I
don't think it happens. I don't think it happens.
Yeah, the place I'd love to see him go is to go and help Dame out, but I couldn't see how that deal would get done. So,
yeah, similarly, I want to see him go back to Washington, like where he's from. Be like, yeah, go win them a chip. Like, team up with Brad Beal. That'd be kind of something.
Yeah, I mess with that. Yeah, do a cool thing.
Yeah,
Don't do a lame
something
thing.
different.
Yeah. Anyway,
you may be over a whole Kevin Durant trade saga, a potential landing spot for that big dog, but I hope you're in the mood for a couple of hypothetical trades, because I've been putting the trade machine into overdrive, and I'll be honest, some of these I'm like, that's not going to happen. But these are just 5 trades that I'm going to churn into a article, probably going out tomorrow. Just hypothetical ones that I'd like to see before the summer's out. And I've tried to make them as win-win as possible. And I haven't included any of like the mega stars around the league, but there's a couple that I think could, both GMs should get on the phone and make this happen. First one involves John Collins. Now, some will argue that him being paired with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young's going to be a good thing, and those dudes will make like a pseudo big 3, but they've been trying to shop him all off season. He's contracted for another like 3 years after this one. So I think it kind of makes sense for them to try and rework this roster around those 2 dudes. They got a couple of other young wings as well, like DeAndre Hunter. I like that. And Yeke Okongwu, I think that's how you say his name, like top 10 pick from not too long ago. So send John Collins back, and we send him to the Charlotte Hornets because they need a bit of scoring punch in the front court now that Miles Bridges is out of action. So the deal I've conjured up is you go Collins straight to Charlotte, Kelly Oubre, PJ Washington, Nick Richards, who's just there to fill some salary, and maybe a first rounder if they have to use that to push it through. Who says no? Atlanta, Charlotte, or do you reckon it works?
So who would that leave Charlotte with?
So Charlotte would then roll LaMelo Terry Rozier. They're pretty thin at the wings, but they've got, who'd they re-sign? One of the Martin twins. I forget which one's in Charlotte.
It's a good question.
And then you got big dog Mason Plumlee still on the books from memory. There's not a ton around outside of a couple of those other dudes, which is kind of why I was like, they probably need to get John Collins. But the rest of the roster, Gordon Hayward, is still there. Forget he's a dude.
I would be a little bit hesitant if I was Charlotte, just because you're losing a bit of depth. Like PJ Washington's not bad. Oubre's had his moments.
Mm-hmm.
And John Collins does. Was there a pick involved in that?
Well, that's the tricky thing is you're Atlanta and you're getting Kelly Oubre and PJ Washington plus this other random dude to fill the salary. Do you reckon that's enough? Or do you reckon Charlotte has to? They've got, I think, for what it's worth, like 6 second-round picks over the next 2 years, including like 3 in the next coming draft. So they could just give a couple second-rounders to maybe push it through. A couple of dart throws.
It's in the right ballpark for both teams. I wouldn't want to give too much away. I wouldn't want to give too many first rounders away if I was Charlotte in the near future. But if you could give a 2028 away, I don't know how far ahead you can do them, but maybe that works. Yeah, I don't mind that. It's tricky though. I would say kind of yes, but kind of no for both. So maybe it's a good trade. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that of the 5 I've done up, that was probably my least favorite. So I tried to find like equal worth. I didn't know if it was throwing a first rounder to Atlanta or if the players they were getting were enough. But yeah, I agree. I think it's around the mark. Next one, probably not as entertaining, but you're swapping Jakob Poeltl. Been great for the Spurs. Great, maybe not, but he's been good for the Spurs. You want to really try and tank. He might be their third best player after looking through their roster. You send him back to Toronto. Reunion. They get another center. Kind of helps them potentially charge towards a home court advantage first round of the playoffs. Another year of Scotty Barnes, so on, so on. And all the Raptors have to do is they give up Kem Birch and DJ Wilson just to make the salaries mesh, and then their first rounder for 2023, because clearly maybe even a future one. But the reason I went with next year's first is if the Spurs are one of the worst 4 teams, and then maybe I don't know, let's say Toronto gets picked 20. If they get the 5th pick and the 20th pick, they might be able to package them together with Keldon Johnson or something and move up if they really want to get this Wembanyama bloke, or there's someone with a 2nd pick that they really like. I think Scoot Henderson, I think that's his name, is another like talented guard who's coming in this draft. Seems like there's some like prizes at the top of the draft pools. So, you know, getting a bit more draft capital to load up for a potential trade, I reckon is the way that the Spurs should go.
Yep, I don't mind it. I feel like Toronto might be hesitant to pull the trigger on that, giving up a first rounder for Jakob Poeltl. I don't know. Is he worth a first rounder on his own? Like, have you oversold Jakob there a little bit? Maybe,
but he's just like a really efficient, relatively cheap big man. And I mean, they've got a couple like Chris Boucher. I'm kind of blanking at some of the other dudes that played.
Precious Achiuwa. He's there.
Who else have they got? Not much else really.
I'm wondering
Siakam,
if they need,
obviously in the front court.
Yeah, too. If they need the front court help, they're pretty much going alike for alike in Birch. Don't know if Poeltl's probably better. I think if I was Toronto, I'd probably go, maybe tweak the deal a little bit, and I might pick up the phone. But just quietly, there's no way anyone's giving up the number 1 pick this year.
Yeah, you're right.
No way. So if you don't get it, you're not getting it.
I mean,
unless it's for, I don't know, Zion and Brandon, CJ McCollum and 2 first rounders or something.
Yeah. Part of the reason that I was thinking the Spurs would want to trade Poeltl as well is so that they can guarantee they're in that like bottom of the tanking race. I think they've already done that. For what it's worth,
I think they might have.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Pirtle had 13 and 9 averages last year on 62% shooting, 30 games, started 67 of them. So, if it wasn't the Spurs, would he be doing that is a question. But yeah, I feel like he could provide, maybe it's not the Raptors, but he could provide the right team with just it might be Charlotte, to be honest, with just like a bit of a punch, another like good piece. Doesn't have to be like your third best player, but he can be a starting caliber center.
Yep. The Nuggets need a backup C.
Oh, didn't they? Wasn't everyone dancing in the streets signing DeAndre Jordan?
Not anyone who knows basketball, mate.
Touche. All right, next one I've got for you involves a Utah Jazz player. This bloke can be traded whenever. Could happen today. Could happen tomorrow. It involves Mike Conley, who's had up and down years with the Utah Jazz, and now that they're cleaning house, I think he still could provide some worth. Originally, I had him going to Orlando, providing them with a bit of a veteran presence, but it doesn't exactly mesh with their timeline. And it was a bit clunky trying to find the right trade. So instead, I've sent him to the Washington Wizards. And all you have to do is you give up Rui Hachimura, potentially a couple of second rounders, put Taj Gibson in, and when he's trade eligible, Will Barton. Because Will Barton will provide you with some buckets. It's fine. But, you got Brad Beal. You probably don't need Will Barton taking away from Beal's production. And Conley could provide him just with a savvy veteran point guard who can, dictate traffic a bit. He's probably getting to the end of his career as well and might be a bit, not washed, but washed. But what do you reckon? Mike Conley to the Wizards.
When you first mentioned it, I thought, oh, I like that. But then you said Will Barton, and I remembered Monte Morris has just been traded there, who's probably looking at starting. I reckon Tim Conley loves him. I do like the fit next to Beal, but I would probably question at this stage in Conley's career, is he any better than Monte Morris? Maybe a smidge, but
probably not a significant amount. Yeah,
not enough. You've got Monte Morris, who's still, he's getting better, whereas Conley's going down. But I would definitely do the deal if I was Washington. Giving up Will Barton seems, I guess his trade value is probably not very high right now. But I think Will Barton could be good for them off the bench behind old mate. What's his name? Brad Beal.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't mind that. It's definitely not like a real needle mover, though, is it?
Nah, not really. It's two teams.
Just a savvy little trade. Don't mind it. I
think Mike Conley's done enough in the league to warrant maybe not like dictating where he goes, but having a bit of input. Be like, hey mate, we're gonna get rid of you. We don't want you to play at Utah. Like, give us a couple of teams that you wouldn't mind going to. We'll call them. We're like, oh, these are the 5 teams we've called that are interested. Yeah. There's another one I had on the list. Go on.
I was going to say 2 spots. Could he get to the Wolves? And could he get to New Orleans?
I'd probably rather see him in New Orleans, I think.
It would make. I just don't. I'm not sitting here, with rosters, but they would be 2 goodish fits in my mind, anyway. So
I think his contract is about $22 million a year, which is the tricky thing. So it's probably like a 3 like this deal I've done. You'd probably have to find 3 middling pieces, and I don't think unless they're going to get like a young dude in return. I don't think Utah's keen to take on too many lengthy contracts, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, just a thought.
The other spot that I had him, well, not even potentially landing in, but I was thinking about was the Dallas Mavericks, playing point guard for Luka. But I got a different Utah Jazz player who I think should be the target of a trade for the Dallas Mavericks. Another guard.
All right.
He just landed on the roster, so again, can't be traded for a little while. But what if we just say Pat Beverly for Dwight Powell and maybe give up some draft capital to get it done, but you put Pat Beverly in a Mavs uniform and he really helps Luka and that team energy and defensively wise.
Yes. I like that one. That's your best one. Yeah, that's good.
Yep. Let's not talk about it anymore because I think I've got my favorite one that I've saved till last. And
Okay.
you might have to unpack this one a bit more, but it's a 1-for-1 straight swap. None of this draft capital bullshit. We don't need any more picks in this. We match the salaries perfectly. Sacramento gets Duncan Robinson and Miami gets Harrison Barnes.
Oh, yeah?
Duncan Robinson didn't have a great year last year. He's contracted for a few more years than Hazard Barnes. But if you get Barnes into Miami, he can probably help shoulder a bit of the load offensively. Robinson's more of like a catch and shoot dude. Barnes can probably create a bit more offensively. He can help, the nights that Lowry and Butler are missing and just bat a little bit deeper. But also Sacto gets a dude who can just excel being a spot up and shoot guy. He can play, if you go De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Robinson, Sabonis, and I don't know, whoever their center is, Rashawn Holmes, it's not a terrible lineup. All dudes can shoot. So yeah, I don't hate it. What do you reckon?
That's a good one. I would say yes. I think you probably don't want Robinson back on the Heat because they re-signed Victor. They've still got Tyler. So I would probably say move him on for someone who can play the 4, gives a bit more, depth and provides options. I really like that one, particularly like you say on the nights where Jimmy and or Kyle aren't playing, and Bam misses stretches. So
True.
having that bigger guy, 6'8", got championship pedigree, I don't mind that, and I think the Kings would take a younger shooter for sure.
They did just trade for Kevin Huerta, which is worth mentioning. But, you can stockpile these dudes and, let them kind of shoot it out and figure out which one they need. Harry Barnes on a 1-year deal as well. So if it doesn't work or he takes a dip or he wants to chase a payday somewhere else or extend, at least then Miami can kind of dictate how they handle that. Because I feel like if they don't deal him, he's just going to leave Sacramento. They're probably going to get nothing for him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Let Duncan Robinson just let him free.
Yeah, free Duncan Robinson.
Yeah.
All right. No more hypothetical trades up the sleeves. So let's not beat around the bush any longer. Let's get to arguably the highlight of everyone's week. Podcast is the highlight, but hidden deep in the end of the pod is your Mount Rushmore draft. I'm not here to talk about last week. Let's just say there was a clear winner, and it was not me. But
I can't even remember what last week was.
Last week was the chicanery with all the players playing less than 250 games, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, yeah.
Shout out to Ryan Benson, who clapped with his other 4 players who weren't drafted in our Mount Rushmore, and I reckon his might have honestly beat mine. So
probably, yeah.
I'm
going to run to the other room and grab my book. I forgot it. Sorry.
A book?
You just talk shit. Yeah. Oh, I've got it. Yeah, I've got it written down.
All right. Now that you've got the book, let's do it. I've been tossing up all day over who I'm going to take with the first pick because tonight we're drafting the best NBA highlights ever. They might be like game-winning shots. They might be like, I don't know, a clutch steal that happened here or there. It might be a rebound. Who knows? But these plays individually stand out amongst NBA folklore. And I think I've got about a top 5 or 6, I think. But then I've got a list of about 15. So I'm going to be very interested to see where this list goes. Yeah. I think there's 3 that I can choose from right at the top of the order. And my heart wants to go with one and my head wants to go with another. And I think with my first pick, I can't go past Jordan's jump shot from the 1998 finals. Might be the most iconic photo in NBA history as well. Last shot as a Chicago Bull, clinched the 6th championship. Huge for his legacy as well, having that like epic photo hanging up. So yeah, Hamden Harden was a tricky one, but I think I'm taking Jordan's jump shot number one.
That's a very nice pick. It was on my list. Actually, you could have got that with your next pick probably, because that was fourth for me.
Yeah, okay.
But these are all very subjective. I'm going to go with my number one pick. It's, I think, like probably the greatest bit of like NBA commentary ever. I think to go along with this, just like it's the best. I think it's the best player of the last decade at least, and it's the LeBlanc.
2 decades, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe even more, mate. Like it might be the number one highlight ever, if I'm being honest.
It might be.
So it was on my books. In my books, it is. So I'm going to take the LeBlanc, and I know that'll hurt you deeply.
Well, I'll be honest. I expected that to go in the first couple. Yeah, I don't know why, but maybe it's the anti GOAT argument in me. I was like, nah, I got to take a Jordan highlight first. But
fair enough.
You know what? That's okay. You can have the LeBron block. Pretty iconic. I'm going similar era now with my second pick. There's 2 that I'm tossing up between.
Okay.
Both of which are pretty iconic game winners, I would say. But I think with the third overall pick, and again, I feel like I can't lose. And I feel like whoever gets the other one, even if it's me later, you're going to be stoked. But I'm going with Kawhi Leonard's game-winning shot in 2019. Because that might be like the craziest basket ever scored. And similar with the commentators that, nuts.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that. Series clinching shot as well. Not just like, we won game 4 of the East. One game 7.
Well, series clinching and won them a chip.
Yeah. It went on to then.
That doesn't go in. They don't win a chip.
Yep.
And history is rewritten. So
the entire league history is different. So yeah, Kawhi's shot for me will be my second pick.
I think you were talking about your like the Michael shot being the greatest photo. I think that Kawhi sitting down, like Embiid looking in from the side, the rest of the crowd. I think that's the greatest NBA photo ever, for real. Like I seriously believe that. Like I so badly want a T-shirt with that on it. Like
I was just thinking that as you were saying, and I was like, I might.
Yeah,
a shirt.
I will own that one day. Mate, if that's not the best NBA photo ever, this one might be my second pick. It's not a game winner, although it might have been attached sort of a technical game winner. I would have to go back and look. I'm going probably the most iconic ankle breaker in NBA history.
Oh,
I'm going AI stepping over Ty Lue.
Yeah, I like that.
That photo is so sick from one of the most iconic players ever. That highlight will never stop being played in the history of basketball. That will go on forever. So I'm taking AI over Lue and the step over.
That might be the best or the most iconic crossover in like basketball history. Like flip, there's
another AI one, but
there's some where you get dropped, right? Or like dudes will hit but the context of it all. I think he might not have had 50
46
in that finals game, but yeah, I was going to say he had like something pretty absurd. Yeah, okay. Well, that was also on my list. And as I've kind of, jostling a couple of these picks outside the top 4, I feel very similar with the Kawhi one. I can't lose. They're all great. We're only drafting 8 of them, so there's going to be another 15 that are left off that some people could make the case for. But Kawhi Leonard shot changed the course of history. The one that I was tossing up, taking instead of the Kawhi Leonard shot, I'm going to draft now. A couple of years prior, in similar circumstances, not a series clincher, but this dude misses this bucket, and the Spurs win another championship, and the rest of the league has changed forever. So I'm going with Ray Allen's 3-pointer in Game 6 of the 2013 finals, which might be one of my favorite shots ever as like a basketball fan. I remember sitting with Jidek and Barnes watching that shot.
You lucky man.
Yeah, I know.
Shout out to the
Mr.
dancing
Energy
bear.
himself. So, yeah, I'm taking Jesus Shuttleworth's jump shot, Game 6, 2013.
I like that one. Was also on my list. But I tell you what, you could have picked those up much later. Allen and Kawhi were 7 and 8 for me.
Wow.
It's so interesting how different our lists are.
Our ordering is, yeah.
So it gets a little bit tricky now. I feel like I need a Michael Jordan highlight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have one.
Well, I'll let you know. There's 2 more on my list, and I'm going to take the one that you don't take.
Wow. Okay. So, look, there's like you could do a list of MJ highlights.
We might,
and
we fucking might.
Maybe we'll, and they might all sort of be potentially on this list. But I feel like there is no. You know what? I might have the 2 best photos ever because I'm taking. And this, I don't know if this is cheating, but I'm taking Michael Jordan free throw line dunk.
Oh, okay.
All-Star game. I know it's All-Star game, but it's an NBA highlight.
Yeah,
I sort of thought
I will allow it. I don't hate it.
I thought that was cheeky, but tell me there isn't a more iconic photo than that one, mate. Like, anyway, so I'm taking the free throw
on my wall. So yeah, that
the
might be the most
one,
iconic one.
Yeah, so I need a Jordan, and I'm taking the free throw line dunk because that's what I think of when I think of Michael Jordan.
Thinking of some of those all-star highlights, I did have like a bit of a look, and as I was curating my list, I saw Vince's elbow hang and that whole dunk contest. I was like, there's some pretty iconic ones there. But I did say I was going to take one of 2 Jordan highlights. So the fact that you haven't taken either of them does put me in an interesting spot. But I don't know. This probably doesn't get as much modern day love as it did when it happened. And if you watch it in slow-mo from the baseline and the way that he hangs, pauses, switches, and then like goes up strong with the left, I think Jordan's layup from the 92 finals, Game 1 from memory against the Lakers, that might have been the best like physical play, like actual layup, contorting his body right up there. He did it like 30 years before Ja Morant thought it was cool to do it. So I have hummed and hard over a couple of other picks, and there's a lot of honorable mentions that we'll get to soon. But I think if I'm rounding out the list, started it with a Jordan play, bookending it with a Jordan play, pretty content. That's the one I want.
Yeah, that's pretty solid way to finish it and start it out. Michael Jordan. That was on my list. It wasn't. I don't have another Jordan one on my list. So what's your other Jordan one? Just out of curiosity.
The shot, the one that he hits over Craig Elo.
Yeah, that wasn't even on my list, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I went extensive research after getting pants last week, so I got a deep list here.
I saw it and thought about it, just didn't qualify.
Didn't
for
register.
Mine.
Yeah.
No, I've probably got maybe there's 6 extra outside of the 8. So anyway, all right, I get to choose this is my 5th pick, or my 5th ranked one.
There you go.
I've actually done really
which was the one from your top 4 that I took?
The last shot.
Yeah.
That was my 4th. So actually I'm doing pretty well. And this one is for all the kids born in the 90s. And you know what? Anyone who remembers what it was like to have YouTube buffer.
Yeah,
so
okay.
This is a classic OG YouTube highlight. And look, the video was a couple of minutes long. You'll remember the song that was playing on this YouTube highlight mix. In fact, we probably can't talk about this guy anymore, but I'm going with T-Mac's game winner. And with that, sort of the 13 points in 33 seconds.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll take the game winning shot from that. But if I'd sort of think of that as one highlight kind of thing.
Yeah. I had a couple of those because I had Reggie Miller's 8 points in 9 seconds. That. Yeah.
Yep.
I had
would have let that fly.
Yeah, well, look, I'm not going to disallow it because I agree. It's a good pick. And you're right, even though it unfolded over a 7-minute YouTube video and like, I don't know, 40 seconds of game time, it kind of does feel like one play, right? So,
oh, definitely. It's like
don't hate
one of the greatest things
scoring
that have happened
segments
in the NBA. Yeah, moments. So I'll take, if I need to, I'll take the game winner, but otherwise I'll take the 13 points in 33 seconds. So
we'll just have to, I'll find the graphic of the game winner and then we'll
or if him doing the cheer, that's also iconic. Yeah.
That is pretty
People know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. If they know it, I get what you're saying. Couple of other honorable mentions. Both of Damian Lillard's series-winning shots.
I had the Waves goodbye that was technically ninth, but I thought, if I wanted a mix, I wanted not all Jordan. I wanted some crossovers and shots, and in fact, I don't think I got a game winner in the end. Oh, T-Mac.
Yeah. Derek Fisher's game winner, the 0.4 seconds one, was also on my list. Not probably draftable, but. The dunk that I honestly thought about including was Blake Griffin's dunk on Kendrick Perkins. Like the first big one he threw down, and like the Clippers commentator.
Oh, no, that was the second one.
My.
He did
Mozgov. He did the Mozgov one first. Well, probably the Mozgov one then, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I had the Perkins one. That is massive.
That is massive. AI step over. We got Kyrie's shot in Game 7.
Yeah.
Sure. Robert Horry hit a couple game winners. Kobe's buzzer beater against the Suns. That might be my favorite game winner of all time. I don't know why, but just when I was buffering and watching YouTube videos, that like half hezzy move, dribble to the elbow, pull up, and then the that holds a special place in my heart. Larry Bird's steal that then led to Dennis Johnson's game-winning layup. Could maybe give that a mention.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, this is the one that, and if you're listening to this and you've made it this far, A, thank you, but B, go and Google this highlight because this is, I wasn't going to draft it and I might honestly repost it on Sportsbee.
I bet I know what you're going to say.
Go on.
Oh, no, you say it.
It's
it's
the game winner from 1984 by Jeff Malone for the Bullets, where it's like
is that
he chases
behind
down the full court pass, jumps in bounds, and just jacks it up pretty much over the backboard. Like when you watch that whole play, you're like,
right.
There was a game-winning like over the backboard buzzer beater, and you're like, that might be the fucking craziest shot I've ever seen. That is unreal.
That was probably when
not what you were thinking.
No, that wasn't. That was probably when like 3-pointers had just come in.
I literally read a blurb. So they were down by 5 points and a dude hit his third 3 of the game, which set at the time, I think it was an NBA record in 1984 for like nearly the most threes made in a game.
Fucking hell. Okay.
But
well, I've got a few.
Jeff Malone from the Washington Bullets. I don't know. You Google Jeff Malone game winner.
I've got a few that you haven't mentioned that I've got to. I thought you were going to say, because this is seriously one of the craziest game winners I've ever seen. Dwyane Wade's game winner, where he stole the ball.
Oh, the runner. Yep.
Like, it was literally the other team's chance to win the game. Dwyane Wade steals the ball and wins the fucking game. Like, and then jumps. He's got the L heat. He jumps up on the thing. Like, the celebration afterwards, awesome. So that was up there. For me, one I didn't draft that was ranked for me was Shaq from Kobe.
Oh, yeah. I did look at a couple of those plays.
Woo! Yeah, when he's running back down the court. Like, I wanted a Kobe one, but I couldn't find space for it. But the Shaq from Kobe was definitely up there. Another Shaq one, just Shaq breaking the backboard.
It's a pretty good one.
Like, that's an all-time NBA highlight. AI on Michael Jordan.
Yep.
The iconic crossover. You did the MJ hand switch. And the last one, I can't believe you didn't bring this up. The whole play that led to LeBron dunking on Jason Terry. was
That's
phenomenal.
not a bad one. Yeah.
And actually, in that vein, the one that happened I think it was last year, when Blake Griffin does behind the back and like the net's don't dribble it
and Kevin Durant
to like no dribbles. I was
Off the
like, I don't know if
backboard.
I've ever seen a better pure basketball player than that. So anyway,
That was pretty good.
those are my honorables.
I did have as well Magic Johnson's junior skyhook. That was iconic for different reasons, but look, we could probably sit here for the rest of the night and talk highlights. Like you said, we could probably do individual player ones and draft a hell of a highlights package. But
yeah,
I'm up 6-4 on the season, but I reckon this might be one of the tightest drafts that we've got.
This will definitely be a tight one, and it really is. First of all, it's personal preference, and like what people think is more like. If people are just MJ fans, you've got it. If people are LeBron over MJ fans, I've probably got it for the LeBlock. Yeah. But I tried to keep it pretty. I tried to keep mine nice and balanced, all different players. How good are these photos going to look, though?
Oh, fuck yeah. I just went through. I had my draft board. I was like, no matter where picks go, I'm just going to stick with my draft board. Not unhappy that I did.
I'm unhappy that you get Kawhi squatting down on your photo. That's so cool.
We might, cool. You know what we'll do is I'll get these, we'll do the Mount Rushmore highlights and I'll turn that into a graphic to throw on a t-shirt.
Oh, that would be a good fucking t-shirt. Actually, that would be, it's probably illegal. Probably the NBA would copyright you or something.
Probably.
But doing series of 3 or 4 highlights together, that would be awesome.
New business idea. No one listen
don't
to
steal
the
our
podcast
idea.
and steal it. All right, well played. Good draft. Good luck to the Quisplorkin boys in round 20.
Yep.
Hopefully,
thank you. Same to the large fries.
Hopefully Tom Stewart fires for me, but if not, I think I might join you on the Hawley train if he's looking healthy.
Choo-choo.
All right. Cheers for listening, Sportsby fans. We'll do it again next week. Thanks for joining, J-Lo.
Thanks, guys.